Get NFL Sunday Ticket at its lowest price ever and watch every game every Sunday. Take your NFL experience to even greater heights with NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, which gives you Red Zone, bringing you the final yards from around the league along with minute-to-minute NFL fantasy updates. Call us at 601-8992 to sign up today.
Good evening, Bahamas, and thanks for joining us at MB12. Coming up tonight in news, police still on the hunt for the bandits behind a broad daylight heist at a major bank. The Inter-American Development Bank helping to fight crime in the inner city. The latest on repairs at 2 New Providence primary schools. 2 men and a teen boy arraigned on murder charges. And the capture of a rare fish raises some eyebrows. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. I'm Christina McNeil, and your MB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. An armed robbery in broad daylight shut down operations at Scotia Bank this afternoon. Minutes later, officers raced to yet another Scotia Bank branch to investigate a separate incident at Jerome Avenue. The incident sparked outrage among customers. Vonique Toot reports.
Scotiabank employees were left shaken following a daring daylight armed robbery at the bank's and East Street branch. Police say the bank was just preparing to shut down operations for the day when drama unfolded.
The government playing, the PLP playing, the FNM playing, they want to hang these suckers when they kill people and so what. And they have more guns than the police.
As crime scene investigators dusted for fingerprints on the inside of the Soldier Road and East Street branch, Timothy Ferguson sat in his vehicle on the outside, incensed by the brazen bank robbery. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Roll told NB12 just one customer was believed to be in the bank when a gunman walked in and held it up.
We are investigating the circumstances surrounding an alleged armed robbery at the Scotiabank branch at East and Soldier Road. And at this initial stage of our investigation, we aren't able to provide much more detail than that.
Roll would not say if the suspect got away with cash. The bank posted this sign on the door which read, "We advise this branch has just been involved in a robbery emergency situation. We will be closed until the completion of a police investigation." One employee who did not have authority to speak told us that workers were interrogated by police inside the bank. Meantime, customers expressed outrage at what happened here today, saying this further proves crime is out of control.
Bank is a joke. Bank is just like any other house. All the house getting robbed, the bank getting robbed, you getting robbed, I getting robbed, everybody getting robbed. The main thing is crime. What we can do with this crime? We got to set some kind of example, man.
Be on the outside, but and on the inside, because crime is just too high nowadays, and everybody wants money because they don't have the cash. They don't have jobs, so
I don't think it's a good thing. I hate to see people putting people's life in danger, and then these days we don't want to work for anything.
But things didn't end here on Soldier Road. 20 minutes after that armed robbery, officers jumped back into their vehicles and raced to Scotia's Wolf Road and Jerome Avenue branch, where officials tell us someone was robbed outside the bank. Roll says a gunman held up the driver of a Honda Trevino shortly after he pulled into the bank's parking lot and stole his vehicle. We understand the culprit crashed the car nearby during a police chase. He then jumped out of the vehicle and made a run for it. Hours later, officers arrested 3 men toting 2 automatic weapons on Prison Lane. 2 of them had outstanding warrants. Sources close to the investigation tell us the trio may be connected to both armed robberies. The men were taken to the Quaker Street police station before being transported to CDU for questioning. Investigations continue. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, also this afternoon, Drug Enforcement Unit officers were on a scene in southwestern New Providence where they discovered a massive field of marijuana off Carmichael Road. Police said they got a tip about the field today and made the discovery of thousands of plants shortly after 1 p.m. On scene, there was also an area apparently used for marijuana processing and packaging and a makeshift house. Police have a Bahamian man in custody in connection with this find and say an illegal firearm was also found on the property. We expect to have more information on this story in a later newscast. While he's encouraged by the stark reduction in reported violent crime since the implementation of government's most recent crime-fighting strategy, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage suggests while authorities are dealing with the symptoms, they want to get to the root of crime. He said as much today as he took officials from the Inter-American Development Bank on a tour of the Bainstown and Grantstown constituency, giving them a first-hand look at what life is like in over-the-hill communities, particularly those considered crime hotspots. Nottage says this is just the beginning of a long-term anti-crime project and the new crime plan implemented just more than a week ago. He says the effects are already being seen and his expectations will grow if the trend continues.
I'm not going to claim anything. All I know is we're working hard. We believe we're seeing some positive results, but we know it's a long way to go.
According to Nottage, the IDB has committed to help finance a program for citizen security, safety, and justice. The body has agreed to do work within various communities to evaluate the level of crime, the efficiency of the justice system, and to make recommendations to government about how it can improve not only the administration of justice, but also reduce crime. Speaking to the controversy surrounding the recently introduced 12-hour shift system for police officers as part of the crime-fighting strategy, Nottage said that will continue as long as it is necessary. This despite public opposition to the strategy by the Police Staff Association.
We're only now rolling out the Defense Force portion of that. And so it may very well be that as more Defense Force officers get involved, we will reevaluate the program and see the extent to which we need the 12-hour shifts. But
in fact, Nottage says the full complement of 150 Defense Force officers originally slated to join in the crime fight has not yet been deployed, and more Marines will be phased in as needed.
Because what we've had to do is speak to them, make sure that they understand what their role is. We've had policemen and others going up, Mr. Dean and others have talked to them, briefing them. This morning we had a meeting for those who are working in the Urban Renewal Project, and so they're just gradually being deployed as we feel that they understand what it is they are being asked to do and how they should do it.
The minister says he will release a booklet later this week on the suggestions made during last month's crime forum that will outline which tactics are already in use and which ones are to be implemented. Shifting gears now, we told you yesterday that Stephen Dillett Primary and Uriah McPhee Primary will not reopen until tomorrow, where repair work and cleaning is taking place after mold was discovered in Stephen Dillett and rodents in Uriah McPhee. Today, Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald telling reporters that ministry officials didn't expect air conditioning issues at Stephen Dillett as a contract was issued for those repairs last year. But he notes that the two schools in question have been a long-standing cause of concern for the ministry as they have no windows.
There may be issues that have, as I explained, that may have arisen between April when we did our scope of work, and there may be some that just arose during the summer when we went to do some works and things were brought to our attention. Once the issues were brought to our attention, particularly at Stephen Dillett, you have to realize that the work that's being complained about at Stephen Dillett, we actually contracted that last year. And so we didn't expect that it would be a problem.
Teachers staged a sit-in in protest of those conditions. This comes on the heels of another protest by teachers over the leadership at two schools, one of them Anatol Rogers High School. Fitzgerald says it seems the worst is over, but there is the concern that all the controversy surrounding the school may affect the morale of students.
When the schools were designed, obviously I have no doubt that the thinking then was that it was a good thing to do. I think now, history is 2020, and so looking at it now, of course, the ministry, those schools in particular, of course, the ministry numerous problems over the years because of the way they were designed, and there are no windows, and so you have to ensure that the air conditioner is always working. There's always a concern. It's a concern not only students, it's a concern for our country. And that's why I think that, we as leaders, and I say leaders broadly, have to be very concerned when we take matters like this, which on the face of it, really, I think, looking back on it now, I think everyone is satisfied that it should not have taken the course that it took, that the majority of the teachers at Anatole Rogers support the principal.
Well, the Director of Education is encouraging teachers at both schools to do all they can to make up for time lost while the schools were closed for repairs over the last 4 school days. Meantime, Lionel Sands says the only other repairs to government schools that are ongoing are in the Family Islands. The first is north of Luther High School, where significant repair and restoration is needed after a fire broke out at the school in June before the summer break. He says while students are in school, classrooms are limited because of the damage. Sands says there is only one other school in need of repairs.
The only other school that I know that we're completing is the school at Crooked Island. That was a school that was destroyed by hurricane a couple of years ago. We're still in a rented premises, and we're expecting for that school to be completed, the repaired school to be completed by the end of this month. We will see what happens at the end of the month. However, if it is not completed by the end of the month, we will still use the rented premises until that place is completed. But that is, for me, the most serious of all the repairs that we're doing, because the students are actually displaced from the regular school and in a rented facility.
Sands says these repairs were too extensive to finish during the short summer break and will take the rest of the school year to complete. Coming up, how a controversial therapy may spell good news for those living with Parkinson's disease.
There are scientists throughout the world who are tirelessly working to find a cure. But until this happens, we must continue to do all that is necessary to manage the condition. We strongly encourage family, friends, and other wider community to do their part in fighting this illness.
But first, 2 men and a juvenile face murder charges in a magistrate's court. Find out more when MB12 returns.